Lacho igwijo lisitsho kaloku into yokuba sifike sagaleleka singumthombo phala phambili ekhaya jikelele. Kodwa ngoku singena kwiyure yethu yokugqibela yenkqubo. Xa sifikile awudingi nokuxelelwa ngoba ubukho bethu buyazithethela kubizinqa siyavakala. Namhlanje ke senza njalo safika sasasaza safundisa sabelana nawe kaloku ngoko sisachola kona imiba ke esiye sathetha ngayo iquka ke lowo wokudutyulwa kubulawe umpexesho inhloko we-DA kwibhunga lomasipala wasemngeni. Elinye inqaku elingunwaba mlonyeni esithe salijonga ngumba wokubeka phantsi kolwawo bezingisekela mongameli kwiphiko lamaqala e-ANC uMavuso Msima. Ngisendimlo ukholosa kalubisi umahlongoti.
Mbukelike singena kwelogcina nci ihoro ohlelweni ekhaya jikelele ngaphambi kokuvala ihora lesibili sixoxele nentatheli yezemidlalo uSiphamandla Mavuso ovele wakubeka kwacaca ukuthi usutho lumabheshankone lubanjwe ngophondo izolo emidlalweni ke we-DStv Premiership njengoba ishaywe yi-Sundowns. Abantu ke yazi hayi bayakhuluma mbukeli hawo makhwela
yintoni kanti
omunye ke uthe nje ke I wanna marry someone crazy like me. Imagine ke mina no baby sesihleka ukuthi sikhohlwe ingane eTown.
Ngimzwile lo webesho.
Hayi cha ngabe crazy ngempela ungahleka ukuthi ukhohlwe ingane eTown.
Manje stress.
Shama levels. Njengamanje kabuke nje basingene eholeni lokugcina ngci ake sibheke ihamba phambili.
Ubuqhophololo nongaphuculi ubomi babantu zezona zathu zikhokelele kwisigqibo sorhoxa kweqala lombutho we-ANC uMavuso Msima.
Sanibonani umpumi lo ngesinje iqhubekani nibukele ekhaya jikelele nisitholele isport, entertainment kanye ne-current affairs. Mina nawe sophumelela noma ngabe sebemelene nathi thando lwethu lomelele noma kungaphelo kwalomhlaba ekhaya jikelele ncwa.
Iqala lomzabalazo nokwangumongameli we-ANC uVeteran League uGqirha Mavuso Msima urhoxile kumbutho olawulayo. Umsimang nowayililungu le-ANC ixesha elide urhoxile ngenxa yorhwaphilizo luquqisayo nokungangxamiseki kwenkokheli ekhoyo ngoku kulungisa lo mba uvakalisa unxunguphalo ngokuwohloka okanye ngokuwohloka kwenkululeko yelizwe.
Kusenjalo ke mbukeli umhleli weindaba zokubuswa kwezwe lapha e-SABC umzwandile Mbeje uphawulile ke ngokwesula kukaMsimang eqenjini.
If this letter had come through in a year, over a year ago, I certainly would not be surprised, given the stance and how he has been critical of the ANC and the direction and the leadership. But what surprises me, Mbali, is that this is someone who just a little over 3 months ago was elected as the deputy president of the Veterans League. Remember, the Veterans League is supposed to be the one that guides, assists, advises the broader ANC movement. But for someone like Mavuso Msima to live just like that, so it's a huge loss for the governing party. And in fact, I think when the ANC sits down and reflect on this, they will have a lot of soul searching to do. But as I've said, Mbali, if it had happened a year ago, I wouldn't be surprised because his stance was very, very clear. In fact, he's been very critical of what has been happening. But I thought he had perhaps found a way back into the ANC and perhaps working towards obviously renewing the ANC, as they've been saying.
Ibhunga lesizwe lamaphondo livotele umthetho osayilwayo i-National Health Insurance. Amaphondo asibhozo kwalithoba votele ukuvuma lo mthetho uyilwayo. Intshona Koloni votele ngokuchasene nawo. Imibutho yezempilo osomashishini kunye namaqela aphikisayo ayichasa ngamandla inkqubo ye-National Health Insurance ekulindeleke ukuba iphunyezwe ngokwamanqanaba xa umongameli uCyril Ramaphosa eyivumile. Inkqubo ijolise ekuboneleleni ngeenkonzo zempilo ezisemgangathweni nezifikelelekayo kubo bonke abemi boMzantsi Afrika.
Imindeni yezisebenzi zasemayini Impala Platinum kanye nalabo abebezokhalisana nayo bahlanganyele enkundleni yezemidlalo yasehostela eSimunye eRustenburg enkonzweni yesikhumbuzo sezisebenzi eziyishumi-13 eyishone ngesikhathi kuqashuka intambo yekheshi izisebenzi ingena ngalo emgodini ngesonto ledlule.
Amakhulu ezisebenzi zasemayini kanye nemindeni yabashonile bahlanganyele enkundleni yezemidlalo emayini Impala Platinum ukuzobhonga emswanini. Abayisishiyagalombili kwabaphangalele badabuka e-Eastern Cape. Imindeni ithi lahlekelwe kakhulu kanti isola imayini ngobudedengu.
We are really wounded because xa sicinga nzulu sinayo into ehambe ithi ibe khona i-carelessness. Leyo yona inakusuka ncam because one of the things esonzakalisayo sohlukene nabo sinezicwangciso kanye sine-plans zamakhaya wethu.
Abebethamele lenkonzo yesikhumbuzo kubalwa kubo iphini likaNgqongqoshe wezamandla namagugu ambiwayo nelinxuse izimayini ukuthi zikubeke eqhulwini ukuphepha kwezisebenzi.
I am stating here today that if the mining houses cannot mine responsibly and safety, then they must not mine.
Umengameli wenyana yezisebenzi AMCO uthi kuyakhathaza ukungaphephi kwezisebenzi emayini.
They pay the ultimate price. If it's not with their lives, it's about their limbs. Uma umsebenzi wasemayini impilo yakho awuhlukanga nokuthi death sentence.
Kulindeleke ukuthi izisebenzi zifihlwe kule mpelasonto esiya kuyo. Ezingamashumi-30 kwezilimele zisesibhedlela kanti eziyisishiyagalombili kuzona zisesimweni esibucayi.
Singathanda ukulumkisa ababukeli abanenhliziyo ezinovakalelo malungana lengxelo ilandelayo. Luphila ngoloyiko usapho lwentshazana neminyaka eli-19 yaseJericho eMntla-Ntshona eyabulawa yaze yanqunyulwa amalungu omzimba.
Njengoba kuqhubeka umkhankaso wezinsuku eziyishumi-6 wokulwa nodlame olubhekiswe kwabesifazane nezingane, sekuphinde kwaphangalala omunye wesifazane ngesihluku. Umndeni wakhe usale ushaqekile.
I don't know them, maybe they know us. Even when we go to bread, maybe they can see you, maybe they can kill us also or do whatever they want. We are not safe as a family also. So we need a serious justice for us too, so that we can have peace and closure in our lives.
Ukhonze Makhubela kukholwa ukuthi walandwa emsebenzini abesilisa abane wagcina engafikanga ekhaya.
Bana ba rona haba safe.
Kafushane uthi izingane zethu aziphephile, asazi ukuthi uhulumeni wenzani ngalezi gameko, akusiyo ukhunsi yedwa owehlelwe ilomshophi.
Yabanyana babahlokofetse.
Ishoshovu zithi kuyakhathaza ukuthi lesi sigameko senzeke ngalesi sikhathi salomkhankaso.
We have been fighting and we thought that the community is fine with the gender-based violence, no gender-based violence. So we are suppressed. What happened? I don't think they are from this community. I think they are outsiders.
Amaphoyisa asaphenya ngalesi sigameko. Asenqanqa abangaba nolwazi ukuthi baxhumane nawo.
Kuhlahliselwe inamhlanje ukulalela kwesicelo sebhayili somsolo wokuqala uEmmanuel David osolwa ngokugqekeza eplazini likaMengameli uCyril Ramaphosa iPhalaphala esifundazweni iLimpopo. Lokhu kwenzeke enkantolo yeMantshi yaseBilabila.
Abasolwa uEmmanuel Davis Floriana kanye noNdilisho Joseph babhekene namacala okugqekeza ngokweba kanye nokuhlela idolo okugqekeza ngenhloso yokweba. uDavid yena ke ubhekene elinye ke icala lokushushumbisa imali. Emzameni wakhe ke wokuthola ibhayili uDavis utshele inkantolo ukuthi uzoliphika icala wathi angeke alibalekele icala. Uthuma efuna ukubaleka ngabe kade abaleka uthi unezingane okufanele azondle umndeni wakhe uthembele kuye. Umphenyi wecala uLieutenant Colonel Ludishnell nenkantolo ethe abezindaba bangasebenzisa izwi lakhe utshele inkantolo ukuthi umbuso unecala eqinile. Ephikisa ke isicelo sebhayili sika David utshele inkantolo ukuthi abakwazanga ukuthola imininingwane yekheli lakhe.
During the investigation, I could not determine what the applicant's regular permanent address was. I had obtained various addresses during interviews with witnesses and from documents provided by banks, lawyers and from open source information.
Limathumba ntaka kwindawo ezininzi kanti ke njengoko kuyintseni khona nezibhaxo zenkungu ngoko ke uba ngaba uyaqhuba qiniseka uqhuba ngononophelo nalo uqikelelo lwemozulu.
Sikwamukele mbukeli wekhaya Jikelele sibonga kakhulu ngokuthi ke uhlanganyele kanye nathi kusukela ekseni ngehora lesithupha kuze kube ibanje njengamanje ke mbukeli sesikhathi ukuthi ke sibheke ke indaba ehamba phambili ama trends
ewe sijonga eziphala phambili phaku X sive kaloku mbukeli into yobana zeziphi hashtags eziyeza banga umdla kuluntu njengokubona mbukeli phaku mabona kude yokuqala #Mavuso Msimang eyesibini #NSFAS.
Ngokusho kwehhovisi lomgcini mafa ekuzwelonke imali yokuxhasa imfundo ezikhungweni eziphakeme izokwehlisa ngesizumbulu esingu 13.7 billion kodwa ke njengamanje mhlawumbe ke sibheke lapha yana #Mavuso Msimang ebese ke sobuyela mbukeli lapha kwi #NSFAS.
Kanti mbukeli iqala lomzabalazo yena kaloku sithetha ngaye kaloku umnomzana Msimang ungusekela mongameli weAfrican National Congress Veterans League urhoxile ke kulombutho emva kweminyaka engaphaya kwama-60. Msimang ke uthe kwileta yakhe yorhoxa sekuyiminyaka eliqela ngoku umbutho ye-ANC ukutyungelela urhwaphilizo oluquqisayo esingatsho kaloku into yobana linoziphumo ezimbi kulawulo kwelizwe nobomi babantu abangathathi ntweni.
Umsimang phela ke usole ANC ngokwehluleka ukuthi ihlinzeke umphakathi ngeyidingo nqangi uthi futhi ke ziyanda igameko zokuminza kweingane emfuleni ukugeleza kwendle kanye nje nesehlakalo seyiguli ezashona elife esidimeni uthi ke ukwehla kwezinga lokweseka kweqembu emphakathini kubangelwa phela inkohlakalo yamalungu eqembu ANC kanye nokuthi nje ayesetshenziswa ukuze ke ahlomule ubalule nje nokuningi ke nanokuthi uhulumeni uyehluleka ukwenza umsebenzi ngendlela kwazise phela kujutshwa ezikhundleni abantu abangakulungele enhlobo ukwenza ke umsebenzi uthile. uMavuso Msimang ushiya ke iANC nje sekuphele iminyaka engama-60 60 years eyilungu leANC. So ke isikhala sakhe sizozwakala ukushiya kwakhe lapha kwiANC kuzokuba nomthelela impela ke othe ukuthi ngoba ungomunye babantu ke abebekhona lapha ebuholini njengoba ke sazi phela ukuthi ke ubeyisekela lamingameli weVeterans League. Ake sizwe ukuthi ke baphawule bathini abasebenzisi baka.x.com lapha yana einkundleni ke zokuxhumana ku.x.com. uBrahloni uthi ANC veteran Mavuso Msimang was very vocal under Jacob Zuma. However, he never resigned. He still saw a future. He has now resigned. He feels the ANC can't be rescued from itself. uBrahloni ke uyasho ukuthi ke Lo semkantshubomvu uMavuso Msimangi wakhuluma waphawula ngembono yakhe ngesikhathi kusaphetheke lo wayengumengameli uJacob Zuma, kodwa ke azange esula njengelungu leNC ngaleso sikhathi. Wayesabona ukuthi lisasekhona ikusasa khona okusengenzeka, kodwa manje ke usesulile, okusho ukuthi usiyabona ukuthi ke ayikho into engahlenga iNC ihlenga kuyo. Ake sizwe ke omunye olandelayo ukuthi yena uphefumule wathini.
Internet, uti more members who claim to be concerned, disappointed, disgusted. Let's see them follow suit. There is nothing left to fix. Uyatsho into kubana maninzi ke amaqela abatsho into kubana noko lento iyabaxhalabisa kwaye badanile kwaye ke bangatsho into kubana bonyanyile kananjalo. Uthi masibabone bezeka mzekweni kuba ayikho into engathi kanti iyalungiseka. Ku-internet ke lowo ebeka uluvo lwakhe.
Daniel Taboyana uthi, I hope people like Max Sisulu will follow suit. Those are people with integrity. I hope Msimang will not leave politics. South Africa will be poor without them. Although they had all the chances of enriching themselves, they chose not to. Most probably the thing that makes him angry is weak SG. Daniel uyasho ukuthi uyethemba ukuthi abantu abafana noMax Sisulu nabo bazokwenza okufanayo njengalokho sekwenziwe uMavuso. Uyasho ukuthi kuba ngabantu abanesithunzi, abanesidima, abasebenza ngobuqotho futhi uthi uyethemba ukuthi uMsimang ngeke azayishiye ezepolitiki ngoba phela iNingizimu Afrika ingasala impela ihlwempu ngaphandle kwabo. Esesho ke mhlawumbe ngokusho phela kwakhe ukuthi ubona ukuthi ulwazi lwabo lunzulu abanalo lungashiya keNingizimu Afrika ingekho uma bengasekho laphana kwezepolitiki. Uthi babe nethuba lonke lokuthi nabo babengaba ngogombela kwesakhe bathathe bafake emaphaketheni abo, kodwa ke bakhetha ukuthi bangakwenzi lokho. Ake sizofuthi ke abanye baphendule bathini.
Ungwenyanhlanhla uthi, if that resignation letter is true, I understand the pain wrought on Mavuso Msimang, but I still wonder, where is the energy to save SA? Why was it easy to save SA from tender scandals at SAA, but nothing on the actual stealing of the entire SAA? Zishaphi ungwenyanhlanhla apho uyambona into bana unemibuzo into bana ubangaba ngenene le leta yokubeka phansi intambo kwakhe uMavuso Msimang inyani. Uthi uyaqonda inhlungu ephezi kwakhe kwaye ke unombuzo wokuba ingaba aphina amandla wokuba kanti kukhuseleke yona iSave SA. Uyatsho into bana kutheni nje kulula for iSave SA ukuba kanti ikhuphe izikandali pha kwi-SAA, kodwa ke uyazibuza into kubana ngenene nangenyaniso kwenzeka ntoni, kukhale nyonini.
Kanti ke bangabe sibheka ke i-hashtag yethu yesibili ke ithi #NSFAS. Ngokusho kwehhovisi lomgcinimafa kuzwelonke, imali yokuxhasa imfundo ezikhungweni eziphakeme izokwehlisa ngesizumbulu esingu 13.7 billion wamarandi. Lokhu ke umbukeli phela kuzoholela ke ekutheni indimbane zabafundisi aledengwane kwazise phela isikhwama esixhasa abafundi ngemali NSFAS sizokuthola kunzima ukuxhasa iningi labafundi ngemali. Kukholakala ukuthi ke NSFAS yenza imizamo yokuxoxisana nehhovisi lomgcinimafa ukuze kutholakale ke phela isixazululo esingcono kulolu daba.
Kanti ke mbukeli abafundi ke abaxhomekeke kwinkxaso karhulumente kwizifundo zabo bathi baxhalabile kwaye banoloyiko lokuba amaphupho abo aza kutshabalala xa benokuthi kaloku bakhutshelwe ngaphandle ekufumaneni inkxaso mali yango 2024. Uyaqonda ukhumbule kaloku mbukeli into kubana esi ibisisikhalazo salonyaka abafundi bekhala kakhulu ngaye uNSFAS besithi into kubana ngenene nangenyaniso kukhale nyonini, abanye bekhutshelwa ngaphandle besithi into bana ba stranded abana mali, kodwa ke baye baphefumla napha ku-X bephefumla ngalomba sithetha ngawo. Unalatenga uthi, people have been abusing NSFAS system for years, using their unemployed uncles, aunts, IDs to apply, whereas their parents can afford. People have kids and put absolutely nothing aside for 18 years towards their children's education. The collapse of the NSFAS scheme was inevitable. Uyatsho into kubana abantu kudala behlukumeza uNSFAS for iminyaka besebenzisa ke omalume no-anti baba bangasebenziyo besebenzisa ii-ID zabo ukuze babe kanti bafaka izicelo. Ngelo xesha ufumanisa into yobana abazali babo bayanako ukuafoda ukuba kanti babanikeze imali yokufunda. Uyatsho into yobana abantu abanabantwana bekumele into yokubana bathatha iminyaka noko engamashumi anethoba 18 years ukuqinisekisa into yokubana umntwana umlungiselela imfundo. Zizimvo zabantu ababhalileyo chunce besijonge abanye bathe bephefumle besithini.
Umpumelelo PN uthina blaming struggling South Africans for the systematic failure of NSFAS and not the government is one of the reasons why we're in the mess we're in right now. Sizwe omunye umbukeli ukuthi uPaul wathini lapha ku x.com mayelana ne#NSFAS.
Uyathi dokubana at the polls next year I'm going to be one of the youth who won't forget the numbers of classmates who were defunded in the middle of the year, others not receiving allowances and others deregistering. 157,908 NSFAS Go students paid 80,000, losing funding for 2024. Uyathi dokubana kulonyaka ozayo yena uzoba ngomnye wabantu abatsha abangasoze balibale inani labafundi okanye ii-classmates ababekanti badifundwa imali yabo phakathi enyakeni. Uyathi dokubana abanye zange bafumane inkxaso ka-NSFAS kwanyanzeleka into yokubanye abanye badirejistarishe. Uyalisho ke nenani labafundi ebebeziziporho ababhatalwa nguNSFAS esingatsho into yokubana ukubhatalwa kwabo kwakungafanelekanga. Uyatsho into yokubana ke 80,000 babe balahlekelwa inkxaso for unyaka ka-2024.
Uphawulile ke no-Emmanuel Munyayi ethi saying that they shall budget appropriately while they've been failing all along, it's only a myth. What is the plan about the 158,000 ghost students who are receiving NSFAS? Who has been held accountable? Politicians with poor South African vision has collapsed the state. Ayike mbukeli ke bekuyiyo ke imbono ke yababukeli phinde sikhumbuze ukuthi bekuyimbono yababukelileyo ngakho ke iSABC kanjalo neEkhaya Jikelele angeke baphawula ngokukhononda okungase ke kuvele ngayo.
Ewe mbukeli ngoku ke masithi qhwi evenkileni sabukele iEkhaya Jikelele.
Siphinde sikamkele mbukeli Ekhaya Jikelele sibonga kakhulu ukuthi usahlanganyele kanye nathi. Ishisandlu eliseGauteng eNorthwest kanjalo naseFree State libeka impilo yabantu engcupheni njengoba phela amazinga okushisa esefinyelela nje kwangamashumi amathathu. Ukuqhubeka kwalelishisandlu ke kuyinto edala okukhulu ukhathazeka ngenxa yeinselelo zezempilo ezihambisana nalo. Uxoxayo kabanzi ngalolu daba sixhumana noDokotela uMikhi Ndabeni. Dokotela uNdabeni sikubingelela sikamkelela Ekhaya Jikelele sibonga kakhulu ngesikhathi sakho namhlanje kuseni.
Hello sisi ngibonga.
Dr. Sicela nje usichazele ukuthi ukuchayeka elangeni isikhathi eside kuyithinta kanjani impilo yabantu ikakhulukazi ke eindaweni ezifana neGauteng Northwest kanjalo naseFree State.
Okay, ngizozama ngoba mina ngibased eEastern Cape. But ilanga linobungozi kakhulu shothi yamxoxa so ngizozama umixa. Ilanga linobungozi specifically esikhumbeni ukuthi nawo expose elangeni isikhathi eside uba semnothekweni ukuthi ungadevelopa ama-skin cancers nokuthi ungasha esikhumbeni ube ne-sun damage which can present ngobubomvu esikhumbeni noba ama-blisters nokunye ukuthi ingakwenyusela i-blood pressure ngoba uzibona ukuthi ukhathele manje inhliziyo yakho ibetha ngamandla so uma unezo problems zezinhliziyo ingayi-affecta nayo. Uma umuntu onenkinga with breathing issues or respiratory issues, asthmatic, noma une-rhinitis, noma sinus problems, too much heat, ingavuselela lezo zinto. Nokuthi anyone or anybody on a existing medical condition, ingazenza kube worse, it can exacerbate any existing medical condition.
Dr. ngiyeza njengoba ubala ke abanama medical conditions ingabe mhlawumbe lelo sekuhlobo oluthile lwabantu esingathi kuyingozi kakhulu ke kubo ngokwezempilo ukuchayeka elangeni futhi ke mhlawumbe yiziphi ke inyathelo engathathwa ukuze labo bantu labo bavikeleke?
Yeah, ngiyabonga lokho who suffers from albinism. Those labo bantu abasengena pigment. Labo bantu they must avoid ilanga. Normal there must be izinto in place ukuthi bathole sunscreen because bona esikhumbeni sabo abanalo olutho ukuzivikela from the sun itself. Umuntu on the existing any skin condition they need to take precautions in the workplace izinto that can be done ukuvikela labo bantu. We make provisions ukuthi if nigqoka uniform on a daily basis kulamalanga ashisa kangaka the employer makazama ukuthi abenzele some cooler clothing. Ingubo ezine air cooling system or air cooling technology noma bagqoke ke ingubo ze cotton. And indlela yokuthi bazikhusele also is to keep away from ilanga itself nokuthi ba hydrate ke baphuze amanzi kakhulukazi.
Doctor, ingabe zikhona yini ke izifo ezihlobene nokushisa ezingaba khona ngenxa lesimo sezulu futhi iziphi ke izimpawu okungafanele ukuthi ke abantu bazi ngazo?
Because general ke ngicela kuleyo question I think you firstly umuntu will pick up ezinye lezizawuvela and the worst ezinye ezitsha brand new ukuthi zenziwe lilanga itself. Yabo umuntu may notice ukuthi isikhumba sakhe sibovu sishile. Umuntu may notice ama blisters. Umuntu may notice ukuthi usoloko ediniwe. Umuntu may notice that unenhliziyo betha ngamandla. They may have excessive sweating, abile kakhulu. Abanye bazodunjelwa yiyawo. So those are the signs umuntu kumele ukuthi athi look out for. Musoqalisa uba nezo zinto ubukade ungenazo. Then you seek medical health attention so that we pick things up early.
Ngiyabona lapha njengoba sikhuluma nje doctor kune slide lapha esifakiwe ngapha esikhuluma ngeheat stroke ukuthi ena kusuke kushisa isikhumba sisomile kakhulu so izimpawu lezo nanokuthi gcina sekuba khona ngisho nanokudideka komqondo.
Yes, uba nayo ne-dizziness, uba nayo ne-confusion, nokudideka komqondo. Zonke lezo zinto yenziwa yi-dehydration. Phela makushisa kakhulu amanzi aya-escape through your skin as well, then you become dehydrated. So ungasaphuzi amanzi to counteract the heat uzoba ney'nkinga zokuthi ube ne-confusion, ube ne-dizziness, ube nama-headaches angapheli. Yebo.
So singasho doctor mhlawumbe ukuthi i-heat exhaustion njengokubuka lapha yana njengoba kubhaliwe izimpawu zakhona singasho ukuthi i-heat exhaustion yiyo lena elidela ekutheni ugcina usuthola i-heat stroke if mhlawumbe lezi izimpawu ze-heat exhaustion kungekho okwenzayo ngazo.
That's exactly. It's fun ukuthi bengisanohlangana ne-patient. She's a white lady obe-heat stroke. She was ebelele pulling kwakhe and then was dozer off. So she was not sleeping. It was as if ulingilizwe. So because of that heat exhaustion, and then you fall into lento ukuthi you're a bit comatose or dizzy. So that's the danger of heat exhaustion. Now you end up uhlala isikhathi eside elangeni whereas ubungazinikela ukuthi uzohlala that long. So ubibheka konqondo esikhuluma ngakho.
Uma ngabe ke doctor mhlawumbe umuntu ekesefika esibhedlela ke esenayo i-heat stroke mangenza nje isibonelo mhlawumbe ikuphi ukusizakala akutholayo esibhedlela iziphi izimpawu odokotela ababhekana nazo ukuze kuphele mhlawumbe leyo heat stroke into efana no confusion kanjena yini into odokotela abayenzayo ukuze umuntu abuyele esimeni sezomqondo?
Thanks noxola into yokuqala siyezwe ukushekisha ama vitals omuntu, that is blood pressure, your pulse rate, and then sichekisha also temperature yakho. Then immediately ufuna kufumana i-ice fluid, we need to rehydrate ukwenzela ukuthi sibuyisela amanzi back into your system.
Esimeni ke lapho ukushiswa yilanga kuvame khona nje basesibalile ukuthi nje ke ishisandlu lithe chithisa lapha eGauteng nase Free State yiziphi inhlelo mhlambe zezempilo okufanele ukuthi zisetshenziswe ukuze kuncipheke umthelela kubantu?
Yeah, number 1, masenze ama-sunscreen with SPF 30 available kuma public hospitals nama clinics. Because ikhona a group of people ekumele ukuthi bazithole freely in the public system. Okwesibili, asisabantu bakaJehova nje amanzi clean water, access to clean water, so that abantu bakwazi ukuphuza 1.5 to 2 liters daily.
Sesiphetha nje ke doctor mhlawumbe ingabe zikhona yini ingcomo eziqondile ezibhekiswa ke kubaqashi ukuze phela kuqinisekiswe ukuthi ke inhlala kahle yabasebenzisi esimene esikahle?
Mina personally esengihlangene nazo bakhona abasebenzi abavumelayo ukuthi abasebenzi babo bagqoke ucotton in the workplace, babenzele special uniform. That's one. Okwesibili ukuthi they make sure ukuthi abantu bakushade, ngenzekelo security guard, ngenzekelo ngomuntu ocleanayo ukuthi bayanikezwa ama breaks as well as nokuthi they are always in the shade.
Sibonga kakhulu ke Dr. uNdabeni ngesikhathi sakho, sikufisela usuku oluhle.
Thank you sibonga mina.
Mbukeli ke njengamanje ake sibheke ke njengoba besikhuluma ngayo ke imbandela nemthelela edalwa ke ukushisa kakhulu kwelanga. Ake sibheke nje ke isimo sezulu ukuthi lapho khona wena mbukeli engabe kume kanjani, ikuphi okufanele kwenze ukuze uqaphele futhi ke uyilungiselele.
Enkosi ngokuhlala nathi nisasibukele apha ekhaya Jikelele. Alifikanga ligalelekile ixesha leziyunguma ngoku ke ukunyuka intaba yetafile iTable Mountain ngelasemzini kwindlela okanye kwindledlana kuya kusanda. Ingaba lithini imbali yalentaba ithandwa kangaka ngabakhenkethi nalinqaku eligcweleyo liyalandela?
Usazi na ukuba intaba yetafile ezinze eKapa iTable Mountain ngelamarhanuka yenye yezona ntaba zindala emhlabeni, ibiyindawo ke ethandwa kakhulu kangangenkulungwane. Nangona kukho utshintsho luqhubekayo ngenxa yokhukuliseko kunye nokwakheka kwamatye, kuqikelelwa ukuba ingaphaya kwamakhulu 2 ezigidi zeminyaka obudala. Phambi kokuba abahlali bamaDatshi bafudukele kweli loMzantsi Afrika, intaba yetafile yayilikhaya lamakhoikhoi namasan awafudukela kwisingasiqithi kwiminyaka engamawaka 2 adlulayo. Izizwe zamakhoi zazibiza le ntaba ngentaba eselwandle kwaye bezikholelwa ukuba uThixo wabo uhlala kuyo. ngeminyaka yo-1800 kunye no-1900 le ntaba iye yaphuhliswa kuquka ukwakhiwa kwamadama amahlanu kwafakwa imoto yentambo ukuncedisa abakhenkethi ukuba bafike encochoyini babone ubuhle bedolophu yaseKapa.
Kutshanje abasemagunyeni bakhuphe isilumkiso sokuba abakhenkethi babeke iliso kwizigilamkhuba eziphanga abonyuki bentaba. Ukuva banzi ke ngokhuseleko nomba ke uyalentaba sixhumana ngeZoom no Megan Taplin nongumanejala wepaki. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me to join you today.
Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, it's festive season. We've heard about the crimes in the Table Mountain various times now. And I know a lot of people go to the Table Mountain, you know, for peace and tranquility. But it seems like now they are fearful for their lives. Would you say that the crime has worsened?
We have found that in some areas that there have been, you know, certain hotspot areas such as Signal Hill and Lions Head, that there has been an increase over the past few months. But other areas, that's not the case. And we still have our very popular tourist destinations, such as going up the mountain itself, up the cable car, as well as our Cape Point on the southern end of the peninsula, which is very popular, as well as the Boulders Penguin Colony, where people like to go. We've got lots of other picnic sites as well, like Silvermine and Newlands, Ekhaya, where people like to go and enjoy the park.
Yeah, and I mean, not only enjoying, but also just taking extra precaution. Do you think that the festive season has any impact on crime rate on Table Mountain? And have you had these issues in the previous years, or this year, would you say that it has really worsened?
I would say that we need to remember that, you know, Table Mountain is a unique national park which is in the middle of a city, and that makes it, it's an open access park as well. So most of the park is free for people to visit. We've got 850 kilometers of trails in the park, and, you know, people can access them from very many areas. So, you know, that also makes it very accessible for tourists and locals, also accessible for criminals as well. So any crime that's happening in the urban area spills over into the park. So, you know, we ask people to take extra precautions, as well as we have put a lot of measures in place. We're working very closely with South African Police Service, as well as with the City of Cape Town law enforcement, to put, you know, people on the ground. We've got our special operations team, who's got a dog unit that also patrols the mountain. Our rangers patrol on foot, bicycle, as well as vehicle, to make sure that we've got eyes and ears on the ground and can stop any crime in its tracks. Obviously, you will still get incidents that are happening, but it's very important that people understand, you know, what the safety tips are, so that they can also be responsible tourists in their own space.
Yeah, before we get to the safety tips, because you mentioned that, I mean, you are working a lot with the SAPS and also some other safety measures that you have put in place, even the operations team that patrol around the city. But, I mean, do you think, I mean, these forums that you've just mentioned, are they enough to actually, or are they adequate for preventing crime? Because I'm thinking with criminals, they may think that they can go to the Table Mountain because it's an open space, yet maybe in the CBDs they may just hold down a little bit because there seems to be surveillance in the CBDs. Do you think enough is being done by all the measures that you have just mentioned?
I think that a lot of effort is being put in. You know, we have recently re-established the Table Mountain Safety Forum, where SAPS, City of Cape Town and Sandparks meet every week to make sure that we share information about what's happening on the ground and intelligence that we might receive, as well as to effectively deploy our resources on the ground. So I think that there is a lot of effort being put in. There's also a lot of effort being put in by civilians or private NPOs that, you know, are helping us with our safety efforts. So helping to fund things like camera networks. We're working a lot with the neighborhood watchers, as well as with the private security companies, to make sure that we have a coordinated information system. And we have a coordinated response, so that the first, you know, the nearest authority or security company can respond to anything.
You know, Megan, I mean, this may really discourage, some of the tourists would really love to visit the country, because I saw a comment of one of the tourists who actually, unfortunately, got mugged, but safely, I mean, she was unharmed. I mean, she said that even though I got away unharmed, the trauma and feelings of violation still haunt me. I haven't had the courage to go back to the mountain. I mean, it's December time, people want to celebrate. People want the tranquility and peace that comes with visiting the Table Mountain. Do you think this maybe can discourage visitors, especially looking at international visitors? And I mean, what is it that you'll do differently to make sure that you attract them back to the Table Mountain?
I think that it could discourage some people, but we're not seeing it in our numbers. We actually have seen an increase in numbers. Compared to last year, we've got 30 to 40% more visitors in all our areas than we had this year than we had last year, and we're back up to the pre-COVID levels of visitors coming in. A lot of international visitors coming in from the UK as well as the USA that are visiting. So I think there's a lot of tourism coming this way. I think it's about making sure that we keep our eye on where crime is happening, because of course when you put resources into one area, one hotspot area, and you focus the efforts on there, the crime can displace to another area. So it's about keeping up with that and keeping on the ball, which we've got a lot of people deployed to do that. We've also got tourism monitors that are coming on board shortly, that are going to be deployed to all the tourism spots, and they are there to give information to visitors as well as give them tips about safety and security. Yes. So I think it's definitely, people also need to take responsibility for safe behavior. If you're going on a guided tour or in a group, then you're much less likely that anything's going to happen. We encourage people to go in groups of 4 or more, or to hire a guide to take them. That also enriches your experience of what you're experiencing. The guide can give you more information and also make sure that you're in safe areas.
Amazing, amazing. It's great that, you are also giving tips, because, safety comes first. And, we want those international tourists in numbers to also boost our economy here in South Africa. Megan, thank you so much for joining us. Lastly, I understand that you are open. Is there anything or something new that you are doing differently? And, what would you say, to visitors who would also love to visit the Table Mountain? Is there anything new that you are doing differently this year?
Well, I think just, we're busy getting more people, more park rangers and more of these tourism monitors on the ground. So we've definitely put more effort in. We've got a much better collaboration with all the other authorities to share information and work jointly together. We had a success yesterday where we managed to arrest, it was the day before yesterday, where we managed to arrest 2 guys that have been involved in a number of muggings. They had just mugged some mountain bikers, and with the help of SABC as well as City of Cape Town and our operations team who tracked them with the dogs, we managed to arrest them. So we are getting there. We are making an impact, and I think I'd just like to encourage people to practice safe behavior. So please use the park during the daylight hours, from sunrise to sunset. It's much easier for criminals to hide under the cover of darkness, and it's also not great physically to have to, if you're walking at night, it's much more likely you can trip and hurt yourself. Yeah. So we ask you to go during the daylight hours, be prepared. Take your hiking shoes, your sunblock and your water. Make sure that you cater for all weather conditions and walk in groups. And, if you're wanting to visit one of our very popular sites like the Boulders Penguin Colony or the Cape Point area, where we've got beautiful places for you to have a look at, and you can go and look at where the 2 oceans meet. There we ask you to get there early in the morning so that you can avoid the long queues. You can get in when it's nice and beautiful and the wind's not blowing. And we've also got a very exciting exhibition there that I encourage people to go and visit, which is the early sapiens or the origins of early sapiens, all about the early people that lived along the coast in the park. So that's a fascinating thing to go and look at. So, walk in groups, as I said, and don't flash your valuables about, just practice common sense, safe behavior.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Megan, for joining us, and also just alerting our viewers on the safety measures that they should use when visiting the Table Mountain, because it's really sad. I mean, you speak about the hours. I was even shocked to discover that at 8:15, the criminal was just on top of the tree, and then he jumped on the tourist, the American visitor. So I'm so grateful that you have all these measures in place. We really hope that, the people that will be visiting will enjoy their festive season and also be safe and take safer precautions. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, and we look forward to all the listeners coming and enjoying the park this season.
Definitely. It's December. It's the festive season. Right, Mbukeli Ekhaya Jikelele loke ebesincokola naye nguye kaloku uMegan Taplin ongu-manager la wepark. Esixelela banzi kaloku Mbukeli ngenkqubo abathe bantu bayazibeka uqinisekisa ukhuseleko kuyo intaba yetafile. Uyatsho ke Mbukeli into yokubana basebenzisana kakhulu namapolisa u-SABC. Uyatsho into yokubana ke akhona namaphulo ahamba eqoqa. Uyacebisa kananjalo Mbukeli into bangaba uyandwendwela iTable Mountain, qiniseka into yokubana yonke into uyenza ngononophelo, kwaye ke awuhambi uwedwa, uhamba nje noba mhlambe niyigroup nibane uqinisekisa into yokubana niphephile. Masithi qhwike evenkileni qiniseka awuqusha lazi ubukele inkqubo yakho ithanda kunene iEkhaya Jikelele.
Mbukeli siyisonga ke manje ingqayizivele yohlelo Ekhaya Jikelele. Mbukeli kumele sikwenze cace sikubalule futhi sikugqamiseke ukuthi kuyintokozo enkulu kwethulela luhlobo lohlelo, ngoba inhloso yalo ukuthi ke uyizwele ngolimi lwakho izindaba ezethulwa inhlangano esakaza ngomoya iSABC. Angithi phela siyakuphumuza ekutheni lokhu waqidizela isingisi insuku zaphuma, manje ke sibethulela izinhlelo nezindaba ngolimi owaluncela ebeleni. Abadidiyeli ke balolu hlelo uJanet, uVuyokazi, uNqubeko, uPatience, uzwakele kanjalo noThamsanqa bafika emsakazweni kusasa kuseni, iningi labantu lisashaya ukudala ubuthongo lizodidiyela ke izindaba ukuze phela wena uyithole ke zisashisa. Okujabulisayo ke Mbukeli ukuthi ke noma ngabe kuthiwa ziyavalwa ezinye inhlelo zeindaba ngamaholidi, kodwa ke thina siEkhaya Jikelele asivali ngenxa nje ukuthi sifuna ukukusakazela wena, asifuni phela ukuthi usale dengwane uzizwe ungasenakhaya. Obese inkinobheni ke namhlanje ubuhlako wakwaMuhope kanye nethimba lonke. Igama lami nguNoxolwa kwaMwali, ihlabangane elimhlophe qwa. Sibonga kakhulu ke Mbukeli ukuthi uhlanganyele kanye nathi. Ngiyazi ukuthi nizosikhumbula, kodwa khulekani phela ngoba sobuya kusasa ngaso isikhathi esifanayo.
Kamnandi.
Nisale kahle.